This will likely be the last match of the round that we'll be able to shoutcast, but then we'll pass the reins off to Infos Neo and Hacky so that they can deal with the next round as it goes live. And so that I can make eggs. We see ErrantSquire facing down Pheelon here. Pheelon must have been on the play, has played a Sapphire resource first. ErrantSquire playing with an interesting champion as well. It's not Tetsuya, but this is Benoshi the Ruthless, a furiously difficult to deal with champion in Limited. Not as prominent in Constructed, but that charge power is scary, especially coupled with cards like the Minion of Yazukan, a 1/1 for 1 that cannot block, but if it dies, it goes underground for a turn and increases its attack by 1 to surface for 2 turns later.
Penta, can you make that a chant? Can you make it a yes you can chant out of that one?
Yes, you can chant. I suppose. We see the Shard of Ancients coming down. Blood will be chosen. The minion of Yazukan will swing in here. We are on a 5-minute delay, so I don't have to worry about talking about ErrantSquire's hand again. Now, there is a Tunnel Troop on Pheelon's side of the board. He's playing Ruby Sapphire as well, with Wyatt the Sapper as a champion. Now that's, again, just something that wasn't really prominent in the Cup of Fate meta. So, like, almost every deck we've seen has been a little bit off-key in some way.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to see that. We've definitely had some cool variety here already. And importantly, from Pheelon, we do see the second Sapphire there, at least potentially signifying could be counter magic.
Inquisition coming down. And it is, in fact, countered. Something in Pheelon's hand that he wants to hold on to, or he feels like counter magic was actually the strongest card in his hand, and wants to avoid losing just that, so might as well.
Yeah, and you never know. ErrantSquire might have multiple Inquisitions, make it a little bit more costly for him to go for it.
Yeah, paying 4 for an Inquisition is actually really brutal in comparison. Now, I guess it's worth noting there's a lot of synergy just with what he has in his hand. We only can see 2 other cards in addition to his champion, but Minion of Yazukan can be sacrificed and will still go underground. It doesn't go to the graveyard. Master Moss survives an extinction. Like, there's a lot here, right? Like, this isn't just an awkward situation for him to be in. That being said, when you're facing down a Sapphire player with this Benoshi style of play, you have to realize that Time Ripples, Counter Magics, and Verdicts are all really good against you. For example, if we see ErrantSquire try to sacrifice his minion onto the Wrathwood here, which he's going to do, and it gets Time Rippled, his minion will go underground, but nope, it doesn't. It resolves. But he could have just had the Master Moss return to hand without being inspired, so to speak, with that +2/+2.
Yeah, Sapphire's got a lot of tricks here in the early sets, but hopefully we'll be able to shake that up a bit here soon. But we do see no other plays here. Looks like we may have a little bit of a sync problem.
Yeah, somebody might have to restart if they're actually having a problem, but
hopefully nothing major there.
It could also just be, like, sometimes if your opponent isn't passing priority here, the time just get frozen in.
Cards in the game that protect Reese, a ton. Yes, an actual literal metric ton. Speaking of spoilers there.
I mean, we do have plenty of spoilers to show off today, so I can't wait to show those to you guys.
We are going to have some for you guys later.
I think we'll do the first one between round 2 and round 3. Just kind of let everyone stew and know that there are spoilers to be seen. I know in particular one of them will make Infamous Neo super happy. So I want to make sure he's
We
here
can do
for that.
10% of a spoiler. We can do a super tease between round one. Do you want to do the super tease?
We can do the super tease
We can
between
do
round
super
one.
tease. All right.
Yeah, it really does look like one of the players needs to relog here. The syncing issue, at least mildly fixable by restarting, but with them on a 5 minute delay, it's not like I can tell them this.
Don Pacedo, what happens if you miss one game? Do you get eliminated? So if you miss your game, you'll lose the round, but you won't necessarily have to be out of the tournament. Now, with round one, and especially with some of the issues we've had in the back, we may actually end up dropping the people who missed their first round. I think that may have already happened. But yeah, as far as like in the next round, if you miss one of your games because you have a connection problem or whatnot, you don't automatically get dropped for the tournament for that. As long as you've at least played this first round and you end up missing one game because of technical difficulties, it'll be okay.
Looks like Pheelon is going to step up to the plate and reconnect here.
There is for sure some RNG sadness and happiness that happens with Reese every time you play it. I don't know how many times we've watched it and seen Jankbot. At the same time, I don't know how many times we've watched it and we've seen a 0-0 that goes immediately to the graveyard.
All right, so Pheelon reconnects, and that does fix the game. I definitely know that if I was ErrantSquire there, I would have felt the heat on my neck and probably restarted super quick. But I've encountered that problem probably 6 or 7 thousand times as much as everyone else while I'm streaming, so saddest days. Pheelon lays down a fifth resource. His tunneled troop goes to 3 with Sapphire on his board, almost certainly a Reese, and then passes the turn off here. A little. It's interesting because you know he's probably holding on to the cards necessary to protect his Reese, which is the general Sapphire mindset, but he's also playing Ruby, so you'd expect a little bit of aggression out of him. Did get to use his charge power that turn and refresh his hand to use 5 cards. We'll see if Wrathwood Mastermoss gets in for 7 damage here. Could, on its own, kind of change the way the board plays out.
Yeah, especially with no other plays and without the counter magic on the Moss earlier, either Pheelon's drawn the counter magic afterwards, or maybe he's sitting on a bunch of verdicts that are just there to just protect the Reese, and he's just hoping to ride the game out and win with on the coattails of Reese. We do see ErrantSquire tunnel another troop here.
Yep. Reese the Crustcrawler surfaces. This is a 4/4, in case you guys have missed it. This is a 4/4 for 5 that tunnels for 2 for 4 turns. That has the ability to create a worker bot at the end of every one of your turns. But if it surfaces, if it comes up from tunneling, that ability instead means that anytime a worker bot would be created on your side of the board, you create a random robot instead. So at the end of turn here, well, at the end of the first turn, this Reese is going to create a charge bot, not the most exciting of random robots, but that will gain Pheelon a charge. But Mastery of Time was played, so that we will see another swing here. ErrantSquire is dry on resources. Interesting that Mastery of Time, because it did leave Pheelon unable to protect Reese if ErrantSquire had a murder in response. So we will see the swing here from the Reese and the charge bot, get another 5 damage in, and will Pheelon end the turn here or try another mastery. Looks like he ends his turn and creates randomly a infiltrator bot. Now, on this turn, the minion of Yakuzan will surface and enter play. Now it has 2 attack, and it can swing alongside the Wrathwood Mastermoss. Of course, because the minion cannot block, very little reason to hold it back here. Master Moss also chooses to swing in here, trying to push 9 damage through. The Infiltrator bot gets in the way of that Wrathwood Master Moss, which does not have Crush, so only 2 damage from the minion will go through, and we see Extinction hits the table, it hits the chain, really, and we'll see if Pheelon has a response. Has a Time Ripple to save his Reese, by the looks of it, and that is the case. Now, he saves the Reese with that, but the minion does go back underground, and the Wrathwood Master Moss kind of dehydrates and becomes a tiny little mossling, and if that mossling deals damage, it will turn back into the Wrathwood Master Moss itself. So we see Pheelon replay the Reese, once again not holding up a ton of resources here at the end of the turn, and we'll see if the random robot that it creates is substantial. It's a Mimeo bot, which will allow Pheelon to put 2 replicas of a troop in his hand into his deck. I actually couldn't see if his deck size increased there.
I think it did. I think I saw it tick up.
Yeah. So we'll see what the play is here from ErrantSquire. He swings in with that baby Mossling. Could be chumped out by the Mimeo bot. Yeah, it doesn't want to let that turn into a Master Moss. Now, are we going to see the second Extinction? ErrantSquire considers it. He hovers over it. Lays out a Crash Beast. Creates a 3/3 Rhinoceros for 3 that can potentially get in the way of Reese here. Meaning Pheelon will get to draw a card at the start of his turn. He is at 4 charges. He goes to 5, so he'll essentially get 2 fresh cards this turn, you have to assume. I mean, he could have drawn the resource there, but... So, 2 more potential chances of protecting Reese from any sort of shenaniganry. And we'll see if he swings in. He does swing into ErrantSquire here with the Reese. Now, having to make a choice here of whether to take that damage and worry about mastery or not, chooses to let it through. Eldritch Dreamer hits the board. Committing a lot to this board here. The random robot created by Reese is an Oversign bot. A little bit unlucky with these creations, if anything.
Yeah, he's gotten some small-bodied troops here, but they're still doing their job, at least holding off some of the damage from ErrantSquire.
The Wakizashi Ambusher surfaces. It has had its attack and defense increased because the minion of Yazakan died on the board once.
We see the Dreamer die. It doesn't necessarily mean that Pheelon doesn't have any kind of protection, though.
He's going to have to play something here to protect his health because he only has 1 block available. And he will take lethal damage otherwise. Yesterday feels like...
Even a Ripple would be okay here.
Yeah.
No.
But he does need to have something.
Nope, has nothing. The damage goes through. That's a good game. I wonder if that was... Yeah, that's GG's from ErrantSquire. I assume that's the end of the match.